Hey guys, I'm back. Back with a video about something I wanted to talk about a long time ago, and something I have talked about a lot but never on camera. This hopefully will be the first in a series of why I hate videos. I'll try to do why I love, but I hate a lot more things than I love. Anyway, I want to talk about something that's very near and dear to me. It's Spider-Man. You can see I have a Spider-Man-ish shirt on. I do have a Spider-Man shirt, but I don't want to grab it because this is new and I like wearing new things. Particularly, I'm talking about The Amazing Spider-Man. And to be a little bit more specific than that, I'm talking about the Amazing Spider-Man film series. And because there were two, we're going to do a part 1 and a part 2 video. So here is part 1 of why I hate The Amazing Spider-Man. I don't really know where to begin, to be honest. Where do you begin with something like this? Something so bad that they could have done right, but just didn't. I guess we could start with the acting, or lack thereof. It's awful. I don't care, the actors in this movie, I don't care how well they did in other movies in the past. I don't care. Because in this one, they were bad, and it shows. Particularly that of the star, Andrew Garfield, who plays Peter Parker / Spider-Man, or does his darn best to try. Wow. If you saw my first Matman show, then you know that I don't like him, and I'm excited for Tom, whatever his face is, British guy number 2, to play Spider-Man. I can't stand Andrew Garfield. He was an okay-ish Spider-Man for the second one, but he's never been good as Peter Parker. He can't act. I hate the way he looks. I don't like anything about it. The biggest thing when I talk about that people will discuss back with me when I say I can't stand him, is they'll say he's a better nerd than Tobey Maguire. Are you kidding me? You can argue as much as you want about acting, which you're not going to win because Garfield was terrible, but if that's your argument, you want to argue about their acting ability, fine, but you're going to sit there and argue with me that Garfield was a better nerd than Tobey Maguire? Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, think about this. Tobey Maguire is just a nerd. He's just a nerd, so it works perfectly that he'd play a nerd. He doesn't even have to act like he is one. He's not some suave guy who has to put on the role of a nerd. He just is one. Garfield is a hipster weirdo with wavy hair who rides skateboards for 5 seconds and then never again. You remember that scene? I've seen the movie one time and I'm never going to watch it again, but I remember that scene. He just drops the skateboard and starts riding it for 5 seconds and is never seen again. Not just in this movie, but in the next one. Plus, he's just sitting in the back with his hood, and he's sitting there with his little drawings. You know what he is? He's not a nerd. He's that creepy kid that sits in the back of the room that nobody talks to because they're scared he might be a serial killer. Peter Parker. Their version of Peter Parker. That's what they were going for, apparently. And then the glasses. He found his dad's glasses and put them on. Hipster! There's something I noticed. There's a scene early on where there's a nerd getting the crap beat out of him by Flash. And he's just sitting there on the ground being trampled, and in comes hipster, wavy-haired Peter Parker. Hey, Flash, leave him alone. And Flash was like, dude, go away. I'm beating up this nerd. I'm a bully. That's kind of what we do. So go away, Parker. You're a nobody. You're not a nerd. You're just a nobody that I don't want to be around. And Peter's like, no, go away. Flash, you're mean. You're mean. And then Flash decks him. And everyone's like, because he's a nerd. I like it. Is that what you took from that? Because I took from that he was a guy who walked into a fight already going on and refused to leave. The bully got annoyed and decked him. That's what I took from it. Because that's what happened. He wasn't a nerd, he was a guy who walked into a fight that was already going on And he got decked because he wouldn't go away. How does that make him a nerd? You want to know who a nerd is? The guy on the ground being trampled. Where's the radioactive spider for this guy? This guy should be Spider-Man. I want to explore this guy's backstory, not wavy-haired serial killer drawing crap and putting on his dad's glasses over there. Ugh. And you know, come to think of it, he really is more the bully than Flash was. Remember the basketball scene? He takes the basketball and he's just like, come on, Flash. Take it. Take it, Flash. And Flash is just, did you look at the expression on his face? He's just like, dude, what are you doing? I'm just trying to play basketball. Can I please have the ball? Yeah, go ahead. Take it. Yeah, take it, Flash. Take it. Can I just have the ball? Seriously? I wasn't even talking to you. Seriously, I forget you exist because you don't ever do anything. Well, you gonna take it? Come on. Take it. Alright, fine, I'll take it. And he does a dunk for some reason. That scene was so stupid. But think about that. He just tortured that poor, I can't say innocent kid, but he just tortured him for no reason. Flash has never done anything to Peter but deck him when he deserved it. Why Peter would pick on Flash when Flash wasn't even messing with him doesn't make sense. People who pick on people who aren't even doing anything to them, that kind of sounds like a bully, don't you think? Ergo, Peter Parker is the real bully here. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, Sally Field with, you know, everyone talks about it. It's like, oh, she was Forrest Gump's mom. She's gonna be great, right? No, not really. And then, is it Michael Sheen or is it Martin Sheen? There's too many Sheens. The dad Sheen, not, you know, Breakfast Club or HIV. The dad one. He wasn't that great either. I love Emma Stone. I guess she's probably, if I had to pick a good part of this movie, she'd be the best part. But even she didn't do it for me. Nothing did. Now, a lot of people have, you know, in the Matt Man show, some people have talked to me about when I reenact the Uncle Ben scene. You know, the Uncle Ben. Watch the Matt Man show. You'll see me reenacting. I don't feel like doing it right now. People have said to me, you know, just, how would you have done it? And it's like, you actually thought that was good? I must be a, you know, phenomenal actor who deserves an Academy Award if I can act out a bad scene and do it exactly how it was done, and still someone says, how would you have done it? Look, Tobey Maguire gave an all-around better performance. He's great as Peter Parker because he's just a nerd, and he was really good as Spider-Man. So I don't ever agree with anyone who says Garfield was better. Some people have said, alright, I will agree with you, he was a bad Peter Parker. And I'm like, well, it'd be hard not to agree with me, I'm right. But then they'll say, but you have to admit that he was a better Spider-Man. No, I don't. I'll give you one thing. I didn't hate him as Spider-Man overall. There were some scenes I hated him as Spider-Man. In the second one, he showed potential, but he'll never get to live that, you know, fulfill that potential because its film series is over. So yeah, he got better, and he was fine in the first, but everything else about his performance is so bad that it's hard for me to look at anything he did with a positive attitude. It really, really is. And I'm not trying to be negative, he just made it that way. I hate the costume. I think it's stupid looking. I wondered, like, what's the point of the gold lenses? Is that because the spider that bit him had gold eyes or something? No, sunglass lenses. He just popped them off, put them in. They could have very well been blue. Or some other color, like, you know, orange or black, you know, popular sunglass lens. Why? The costume, when I first saw the costume for the second one, I thought, that's for the next video. We'll talk about that next time. The actor that played Dr. Connors was not really memorable. He was whatever. And then when he became the Lizard, What were they thinking with that design? I remember vividly, I was sitting on the toilet and I saw a Facebook post. There was a sponsored ad that said, "Hey, would you like to see what the lizard looks like? There's been some concept art released." Okay. And then I click on it and I'm like, that's not the finished product, right? Why did he look like that? He didn't have the snout or anything. He just had a weird flat looking face and it was all cringed up like he used Botox.
Peter Parker. On the lizard, I have an accent for some reason.
It was just... Something else I hated, Uncle Ben's death. There was absolutely no reason Uncle Ben had to die. If Uncle Ben didn't make the stupid decision to leave his house and go after Peter, he wouldn't have died. In fact, I hated that he did. I would have preferred that Peter walked out and went on his little stupid emo tantrum, and then the criminal broke into the house. Like, maybe Aunt May was out buying milk or something. I don't know. What was it she needed? She needed something in the movie. I've only seen it once. Was it milk? Or was it eggs? Or cheese? She needed something from the grocery store. Whatever she needed, you know, she could have been out buying it because they wouldn't do it, and then the criminal broke into the house and killed Uncle Ben. There you go. Don't have Uncle Ben just, "Hey, Peter! Oh, hey, criminal, I'm going to stop you." Oh, I'm gone. That was a dumb way of dying. One could argue that is Peter's fault. But one would be wrong in arguing that because you're a moron. How's that Peter's fault? He left. He didn't ask his uncle to come with him. His uncle was an idiot for doing so. That's not Peter's fault. And in that is the biggest problem I have with the Amazing Spider-Man series. Because I have this problem with this movie, it messes up the next movie for me. And if there were more, it would have messed up those movies too. My biggest problem, I think I've told a few people this, I'm not sure, but the biggest problem for this movie and the series for me is there is no reason for this Peter Parker to be Spider-Man. Yes, you heard me right. There is no reason why this Peter Parker should be Spider-Man. It just doesn't make sense, and I'll tell you why. Because he never found his Uncle Ben's killer. Not only that, he saw his Uncle Ben being murdered. That entire emotional interaction was completely compromised by this film series. Peter Parker needs to learn the lesson that with great power comes great responsibility. The way he learns that is by letting a criminal get away that goes to kill his uncle. And then when he finds the criminal and confronts him, he learns this is the criminal that I let get away. And because of that, now my uncle is dead. Never again can I misuse my power. I have to use this power for the greater good. I have to be a hero and not just some selfish guy with powers. And you want to tell me that this hipster loser managed to learn that lesson by being a butthole and beating up a bunch of guys who weren't his uncle's killer? Yeah, right. That scene where he's messing with the criminal with the knife and he's like, "Oh, you found my weakness at small knives." That was okay. I mean, I was like, yeah, I guess that's something Spider-Man would say. But then he leaves, and I hate this scene, and I'll tell you why. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. He leaves, and there's a cop car there, then 2 other cop cars show up. That makes 3. Alright? Very next scene, in comes Dennis Leary, who says, 38, New York's finest versus one guy in a unitard. Scene's over. I actually laughed in the theater. What was that? You got a 7-second scene for one joke that wasn't even funny. And, I mean, first of all, it was spoiled in the trailers. Second of all, it wouldn't have been funny even if it wasn't spoiled in the trailers. But that was the entire scene. And it's not just that, it makes no sense. 38? 3 cop cars showed up, and the other 2 showed up when he left. Were they clown cars? They were not that many people. I feel like he did take on 38 cops, and they just forgot to put that scene in the movie. There are a bunch of scenes in the trailers that did not make the final cut. That scene just made me laugh. It really did. That was hysterical how dumb and illogical it was. Watching his Uncle Ben murdered compromises the whole "it's my fault" thing. It's not his fault. Don't make that case to me. I'm going to tell you you're wrong. It's not his fault. First of all, A, his uncle went out when he shouldn't have done it. B, he confronted a criminal and tried to mess with the criminal, knowing he probably has some sort of weapon. Not exactly seeing how that's Peter's fault, to be honest with you. And then seeing what the guy looks like kind of ruins the surprise, you know what I mean? He's supposed to find this guy, see what he looks like, and think, oh crap, I'm responsible for this. But now that he knows the guy, he can go out and look for him, and well, I thought, well, maybe he'll find the guy and beat him up and think, if I hadn't walked out, my uncle would still be alive or something like that. But he never finds him. He never finds the guy. Look, I could be wrong. I saw the movie once, but I swear, I do not think he ever found him. I know that he found some guys that he thought looked like the guy, but he never did. It just glossed over that. You take the thing that turns Peter Parker into Spider-Man, and not just a guy who can shoot webs, and you destroy that to where it cannot be Spider-Man. He did not learn the lesson he needed to learn. That whole thing is destroyed. It's compromised. He cannot be Spider-Man if he doesn't have that important lesson. It just does not work. And then also to bring up what a douchebag he is to Gwen's father, who he caused the death of. That one was his fault. Talks to Gwen and says, but those are the best kind of promises. When he talks about breaking, he promised her dead dad he wasn't going to talk to her, and then he's like, screw him, he's dead and buried. Hey, baby. What a douchebag. That's something Flash Thompson would do, not you, Peter Parker. I could go on forever. I have talked about this with people for an hour, you know, but I really don't want to. I cannot tell you how I felt while I was watching the movie. I watched it. I know how I felt. If you watched the Matman show and I told you that when the Uncle Ben crying scene was happening and in the theater I said, ew, that's not good. I swear, that's actually what happened. I sat there and I went, oh, no. You know, I did not, that left a sour taste in my mouth. One thing that was entertaining, the only thing that was entertaining in this movie, was not even the movie itself. The screen got messed up and was like flipped, so everything was backwards. And a guy got up and ran out, and he was a big dude, so he was like, ooh, 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 ooh. And he went to go fix it, and he came back and he was just like, with his fist up like the Ultimate Warrior, and everyone started cheering for him. That wasn't even in the movie, but that was the most enjoyable thing about the whole experience. It's a movie I walked out of saying, I like it, but there were plenty of things I didn't like. I kid you not, my first 3 words when this movie ended, I kid you not, I swear, that was disappointing. And my best friend stayed the night at my house that night. We saw it together. And he came home and we talked about that. He said, yeah, I like it. I'm like, I like it too, but... And then we started dissecting things, and he had all the same opinions I did. And I said, you know what? I didn't like that movie at all. And he thought, me neither. And just the more I think about how I don't like it, the more enjoyable it is for me to talk about how terrible it is. It's funny how a lot of people didn't like the second one at all and said it was bad. And my opinion is, yeah, it's bad, but it's better than the first. And they just can't believe I just said that. Hopefully this gives you some context. I love Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2, the writing is not good. Let's be honest. People say Spider-Man 2 is the best. The writing is horrible in that movie. Come on. Oh boy, yeah. Oh boy, yeah. What? Nothing. That's some straight up Anakin Padme bullcrap right there. Which, come to think of it, that movie did come out after Attack of the Clones. And then Spider-Man 3 is Spider-Man 3, you know. I thought that scene was funny. I cracked up. It is funny if if you can find a way to enjoy it. I think it's funny. But anyway, that's just basically the summed up version of why I hate The Amazing Spider-Man. Hopefully I'll be doing a part 2 of why I hate The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Hate is a strong word. There are plenty of things to dislike about this movie, the second one, but it's a lot better in certain aspects than the first one is. Especially considering I didn't like the first one, and there were things I kind of liked in the second one, so automatically it moves up. Still not good, though. Still not good. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope to do more why I hate videos as well as why I love. I would love to do a review for Star Wars. I might do that soon. And talk about not only what I loved about Star Wars Episode 7, but what I want to see in Episode 8. And who knows, maybe it could happen. But it won't. Probably not. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Thank you again for watching. I'm out of here. Whoa.